in 3, 2, 1.
PVO.
Positive vibes
This
only.
is the PVO show.
Okay, guys, welcome back. We are doing episode 4. Today is Monday. And today we have Houston's finest, Dr. Edward Chamata.
Hello, hello.
How's it going, sir?
Everything's great. Life's good. Can't complain.
So we're running it back with another surgeon. And like I said, when I was telling Brendan that when people ask me about plastic surgery, I always tell them I did 2.5 years of fellowship.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can probably operate now on your own.
I wouldn't go that far.
Start seeing patients.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
do that.
let's
Don't do
not.
that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not legal.
But I can definitely tell you what the next step's going to be, and what to look out for and what not to do. So I was telling Brendan, I was like, yeah, I guess repetition and editing, just repetition, and then visually, it's kind of like that's my superpower, is like I'm a visual, and so I'm like, oh yeah, the smash is after this and this and this, and it's like after I walked with Rorik, and like after I stopped doing that, it is like I still have this information, and it's kind of interesting. It's like every now and then I'll just think about sutures, and I'll think about like Botox and fillers, which
PTSD. It's called PTSD, bro.
PTSD. Yeah. So let's get back on topic. So Edward just to be close to a year of first year practice, right?
Absolutely.
And Brendan filled us out the whole process of getting to that. Now, I want you to walk me through how your process was.
Yeah, for me, I didn't do a fellowship like Brendan. To me, in my opinion, I had really good training in terms of cosmetic surgery. We saw we trained with a number of different surgeons across the board. So I had a really good plethora of plastic surgery experience, from face with Dr. Rorik, obviously, body with the experts in Houston. So it was very comprehensive. So I decided to just go into private practice right after my residency training, which was 6 years in plastic surgery. I found a partner that really kind of inspired me to go into body sculpting, and specifically like liposuction, high definition liposuction, and obviously BBLs, which are growing more popular each day. I really have enjoyed my time the past year, kind of growing and learning and expanding my surgical techniques, and really just kind of building on those. So it's been an awesome ride so far, for sure.
Now, I like that you said specifically body sculpting, because a lot of people are probably not aware that that's even a thing. I certainly wasn't. I thought it was just liposuction, and then when I saw Hoyos, I was like, oh, got a freaking Michelangelo amongst us chipping away. And so there, I was like, oh, there's another level. Like there's another level to this game. And what I saw, like, I think it was your Saturday post. It was a comparison, right? And honestly, I know, because you're in Rorik's world, so you're doing Rorik's world type training. So I didn't really get to see you in the sculpting aspect. And I was very impressed, honestly. I was like, whoa, like this guy's gonna be something big, like in his own right, because I've always been fascinated with sculpting, because you can take a body that never really works out, right? And then all of a sudden they look like they just went through the Rock's regimen or something,
Yeah, no,
So
for sure.
how does is that like a touch and feel thing? How does that work?
So back to what you were saying about lipo. With lipo, traditionally, for the past few decades, it's been done just by essentially doing generalized lipo to the areas, just to kind of clean out the fat. Now what we've learned is, if you sculpt the areas and kind of do differential lipo, where you're doing more lipo in certain areas versus others, to kind of define those ab muscles, define the pec region, define the triceps, define the biceps, it enhances those features, it accentuates those features, and it can give the illusion of an athletic look to someone who may not be already athletic, or may partially work out, but they just don't see the results quite in the gym. So this is kind of that extra step that extra boost to, you know, clean off that last layer of fat that they need. You know, I really equate it to, and this is why I personally just really got drawn to it, is, you know, I have an art background as well, similar
He
to
does.
you. You know,
I
I
remember that.
do painting, sculpting, and to me, it was exactly like sculpting, because you're kind of taking this base form and then you're just whittling away at the fat to essentially create those fine details that creates those ab definitions, that creates those negative spaces, positive spaces, the shade, the shadows, the highlights. So it really just,
Is it
it's
kind of like
art, really.
carving within the body?
Exactly. It really is. It's art on the human anatomy.
No, and I see it a lot. No, I completely agree with that sentiment because you don't just take a instrument, put it in someone's body, and make it look like you chiseled a body out of like into like inside. And that to me is like the most beautiful thing about it is that it's kind of like blind sculpting
Right. And you know, a
because
lot of it, you know, people ask me like, oh, well, how do you do this? How do you do this? Honestly, every surgery is so different than the other. You know, there's
Mhm.
obviously generalized concepts, but you're taking every patient is so different in their anatomy that you want to fit what you're doing to that specific person.
Exactly.
And it's all like really a feel thing. You're feeling to see like the
So it
depth.
is a touch and feel.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Because you know, you that's how you can tell like where you are. That's how you can tell the depth. That's how you can tell like the gradients. So it really is a lot of that.
Because would you say when you do it, it's more based on intuition and you're very intuitive about it. You're very like you're really honed in with what you're doing, but you're also honed in with like your body movement, like you just flow state.
It really is like it's funny, like they say, you know, as a surgeon, you should be like one with your instrument, like it's an extension of your body. And especially for lipo, that's the case, because it almost like when I'm thinking of the instrument, I can like visualize in my mind's eye where that
And
exact.
it's a bit more unorthodox the way it just sounds, right? Because it seems more less science, more la di da.
No, exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's it. That's exactly what it is. Like I don't do the same thing for, I do something different for each patient.
It's case
It's
by
not
case.
like, you know, there's a general rules to follow, but it's completely, you know, freehand. It's essentially just like art. Like you're not going to create the same piece over and over again. It's going to
Exactly.
be something different.
And at the same time, it's like only you truly know, like, all right, in my head, in my hand, I feel like I should really go in this, like this direction versus traditional, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's all like judgment based too,
But I
you know?
think that's what separates the normal, and that's when earlier I was saying like the next level, right?
That's true. Yeah. No, that's a good point, because, you know, initially, you know, as everyone's starting, they want to follow kind of like a cookie cutter approach because that's the safest. That's what they think, you know, is going to get them the results. But at the end of the day, it takes, you know, an artistic eye, it takes your own judgment, your own modifications to whatever you're doing to make it,
Mhm.
you know, you're unique and something better.
Prior, how long? I feel like this is new information for me. Like, how long ago was that decision made to go into that aspect, like dive into it more?
Into body sculpting or
Mhm.
into, yeah. So, you know, since I kind of found out about it several years ago in residency training, I've always been interested in it because it ties into art. And to really, you know, kind of go full in and say like, this is really what I want the majority of my practice to be, probably happened, you know, when I got in touch with my partner, Dr. Jung, and, you know, saw his work, which was really astonishing to me. You know,
Mhm.
it's something that really only a few people around the nation really do, around the world. You know, Dr. Hoyos is being one of them. And you know, I wanted to learn from him, and I wanted to learn his techniques. I wanted to see, you know, how he thinks about the surgeries and what he does differently. And you know, he's been a great mentor to me because he's really told me his techniques. He's shared everything with me. And then, of course, I've made my own version of
Mhm.
it, obviously based on what suits me, what I think works better for me.
And that's
That's
cool about plastic surgery that y'all do share y'all's innovations, because that's like I was saying, Brittany, I don't own an organ, y'all own innovation. And for that to be the case, y'all kind of have to collaborate and be like, yo, this is what I did. But even if someone shares a recipe, it doesn't mean you can reproduce it, right? Because at the end of the day, this is
Yeah.
taken to the next level, right? This is more like, what does your imagination and your scientific mind combined can do?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like Dr. Hoyos, the father essentially of body sculpting, he teaches a course where, he has 40 something plastic surgeons come every few months or whatever to
Mhm.
teach his exact techniques. But that doesn't mean 40 plastic surgeons are going to be as good as him, right?
Exactly.
Because
It's like if Michelangelo or or actually if Van Gogh or shoot, if Matisse wanted to teach 40 painters how to paint like him, doesn't mean they're gonna paint like him.
exactly. And you can get them 80% of the way there, right? But that
Yeah,
last
but you'll still know what a Matisse is, and like
right,
it look like that looks close enough, but that's not a
close
Matisse.
enough. Yeah, it's like that knockoff.
Yeah. It's like when you get that fake
Like
Louis.
the LED bag, whatever, you can tell. It's like, yeah, that
Like,
leather is
well, why? What's
right.
up with the red bottoms? They're not that red.
Yeah, they're like orange, a little orange.
Little blood orange, bottoms. So,
That's hilarious.
and
Yeah.
so, and let me ask you this: it sounds like right now it's kind of like it's no longer the Wild West. Would you say it's still the Wild West of body sculpting?
What do you mean by that?
Like it sounds like it's its own niche that not a lot of people are in it too much.
Yeah, I think more and more people are starting to
Like is it
try
becoming
it out and
oversaturated?
try to dabble in it. Obviously, it's not something that you can just say one day, "Oh, I'm just going to do it," and then just do it because you can really
Screw
fuck someone
yourself.
up
Yeah,
that way. Just like with any kind of surgery. So,
gotta know
it
before
may
you
look
go.
easy. It's really, it's not. It's all just dependent on your techniques, what making sure you're safe. Obviously, safety is a priority.
And so let me ask you this: now that you're in practice, what does a weekly what are your weekly cases look like? Are they about same thing, or there's variety?
There's actually a good amount of variety with my days. Probably half of my surgeries are lipo body sculpting type surgeries, BBLs, and the other half are generally like mommy makeovers, so tummy tucks, breast lifts, breast augs, things like that. And then there's a little bit of face mixed in there here and there. Some rhinos, some facelifts, but it's mostly focused on body. My weeks are actually pretty nice, comparatively to residency training, much more chill. I kind of make my own hours. I set my schedule. I can operate
I've
as
kind of picked up on that, like texting you or Brandon or whoever, like Justin them. It's yeah, it seemed to get back to me faster than back back then. I was like, oh, I guess they're a little bit more available.
Yeah, no, it's nice because I set my surgeries because I can operate as little or as much as I want. Once I feel like I'm doing too much, I'm taking a vacation. Like there's no reason
But then
not
again,
to.
it's also like because let me ask you this, because the way from what I've seen and what you're describing, if I was to put myself in your shoes, first year, feel like I would kind of want to get my process down, right? And then at the same time, this is also a moment for me like really take my time and really make this shit look good.
Yeah,
Versus like I gotta bang them out, and it's like
for sure.
we're not in the banging business. Well, not that bang. But what I'm saying is that because knowing you and being having that art background, it feels like you're in the journey of where like, all right, this is where I get to really combine all my knowledge from all my mentors. But this time I don't have any restrictions. It's all on me.
Yeah, for sure. That's what's nice about it, and like you said, I take my time in surgery. I'm trying to understand, as I'm going through it, I'm trying to understand how I can make that surgery better as I'm doing it for the
Now, is
next.
it do you treat it like how I treat art or any artist where like my next painting has to be better than my last painting?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the goal, is to like always progress. I think if you're
Yeah.
not progressing in whatever you do in life, you're not doing something right. At the end of the day, like even when I come home, I sit, I kind of take a look at what my surgeries were that day. I replay them in my head to see like, okay, what could I have done better, or how can I make this even better than
Mhm.
the last? And that's how, you're evaluating your work. You would do that with art. You do that with anything. Like, how can I make this better the next time?
Well, it depends on the mentality because there's people that they already know everything, and that was like at the age of 21 or something, and they kind of capped off. I'm always of the mindset, what else can I learn? And
Yeah.
I feel like that's when, like, when you start utilizing um other skill sets and you keep on putting more tools in the toolbox, that's when shit gets really fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you have options, you have other routes, you have other ways. You're not stuck in like, ah, damn, dead end, and what else do I do?
Right. Exactly.
Same with plastic surgery. As part of the Oz innovation is figuring out other approaches.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like you're saying, for tummy tucks, for instance, we've all seen like the normal tummy tucks. They don't really have much definition to them. It's kind of just, cut out the skin,
And it
pull it
makes it,
tight.
and it's so obvious too. I've always known who's at a tummy tuck just looking at their navel. I'm like, yep.
Yeah,
And what
exactly.
I love about Hoyos' work and even your work, it's like, I fooled me, dude.
Yeah.
I
That's the
had to take a
goal.
little, because sometimes like you just know, but this one is like I had to like really look. I'm like, that's pretty damn good actually.
Yeah, and that's the goal. I want that for my patients. I want them to have plastic surgery that's going to restore them back to, where they were, before their pregnancy, for instance, and not be obviously that they had plastic surgery.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome back, guys. So now that we have a good idea of the body sculpting world, which I'm sure y'all learned a little bit because I know I did, I want to ask Mr. Chamata, or I'm sorry, Dr. Chamata, a little bit about his background. I also want to know some stuff because I only know just like the basics. From Houston, like
Well,
family
actually,
living there.
no. So I was born and raised in Lebanon. So in the Middle East in Lebanon, we immigrated to the U.S. with my parents and my brother when I was 12 years old.
Wait,
So
so you're a first generation of
yeah,
Lebanon American,
yeah,
Lebanese?
exactly.
How would you yeah,
Yeah,
how do you say that? Lebanese
Lebanese.
American. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty powerful actually, because the way you carry yourself, you would have thought you've been here in like second generation or so.
Yeah, no. So, for me, I when we came here, so English is my third language. So I spoke Arabic as my first language. We also learned French in Lebanon, just because they were invaded by France a long time ago. So French is another language that they speak there. And then from then on, I learned English when we came here. We learned it a little bit in Lebanon too, but it wasn't to the degree that we speak it here. Obviously, it's kind of like how people learn Spanish in the
Mm.
US,
Well,
high school.
for me it was different. I learned both at the same time because I had an older sister. She's the one that struggled with it. I'm
What's
first
your
generation.
nationality?
Huh?
What's your
Yeah.
nationality?
Oh, well, I'm Mexican all day. But you know, my parents came here to the US, had us, my sister struggled. I and here's some credit to PBS through watching that, my sister, and like being in the US. I saw it as one big language, so I just absorbed it, and so I didn't really struggle with that aspect. But what I think is interesting about you is that not only did you start from traditional, very mere background where you're now in practice, your English is good as hell. And one would never know the case of your story because, you look the part, you are the part, but it's like generationally, you shouldn't be here in some people's eyes or society's eyes.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I think at the end of the day, the US was built on immigrants, and you have to accept all walks of life. If you're still in 2022 and you're not, then there's something going on.
Exactly.
And at this point, that kind of generation of intolerance is slowly making its way out. I don't think we necessarily need to worry about that too much. It's kind of changing as we speak.
And so let me ask you this, because I know for me, I don't know what, everyone has a different setup, different scenario. And I told my parents I want to be an artist. They're like, "You crazy? like, bro, like, who are you? Whose parents you from?" And so, like, they were very against it. Anyone that went to art school, and I was like, "Well, I'm going." And to my credit, I got a nice little scholarship and made it happen. But Was medicine something that was pushed through your family, encouraged, or was that just something that you wanted to do?
To be honest with you, I don't know because, in my mind, I feel like it was something that I've wanted to do since like I was younger, but at the same time, like that seems like kind of like an odd thing for someone to want to do when they're like, 10 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, maybe it was, kind of maybe insinuated or kind of like highly suggested or, you know, kind of egged on in a sense. Cause, you know, I feel like all Middle Eastern families are like this too. You either can be like a lawyer, a doctor, or like an
Yeah.
engineer, right? So
A good job, like a secure job with that knows it pays, right? Like these are
right,
you will never
exactly.
be poor. You get these
Just like the
jobs.
stereotypical like three jobs
Yeah.
that are offered to you. So maybe it was that too, because I was like, my dad was a lawyer in Lebanon. Um, and so I knew I didn't want to do law. I knew I didn't want to be like an engineer or anything like that. And I really did enjoy medicine. I enjoyed like subject that I learned like the most is biology. So
Mhm.
it really was like seemed to make the most sense to go into that. Um, but
And so, talk to me about the art part. Segue to that.
yeah, so that was also something that started actually back in Lebanon. Just through we had to it's mandatory for us to take art classes and different types
Whoa,
of classes like that.
really?
Yeah, and it was like
That's dope.
every year. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome because it really does like you start young, you kind of build those skills, you build that eye from a very young age. And then of course, when we came to the US, that's not really the case here, but I still decided, tried
You
to
kind of have to go out of your way for it.
art as much as possible. Yeah. I think it fell off in college just because, you're in college, you're kind
The
of focused
time.
on school and having fun, partying, etc. Exactly. I picked up DJing actually in college.
Really?
So that became kind of like more of an interest of mine.
What was your DJ name?
I, I'm not going to say
Oh man, okay,
it.
okay. We'll just let
Maybe
it
story
to
for
people's
another day.
imaginations.
Yeah, let's get some suggestions going.
Hey
Get some
guys, if
guesses
you're
going
watching this and
from
you know
the
Ed,
audience.
what would you suggest or think his DJ name is? Type down below.
Yeah, so I got into that actually, open for several like prominent hip hop artists like Lupe Fiasco,
Really?
Bun B, J. Cole, like back when they were kind of just starting off, for J. Cole at least.
Where were you living at the time?
At UT, it was in Austin. So this was all in Austin.
Really? Was it like
Yeah,
Austin
it
City
actually
Limits?
didn't do that. Yeah, I wasn't didn't do that, but I played at Emos, some other places like some other bars in
Yeah, but
Austin.
still, just the names you mentioned, those are big names.
Yeah, yeah. No,
That's dope. So how
it
does
started. It started off just DJing at frat parties, and in Austin they have this
sounds about
week
right?
called Roundup for frat parties where they bring in like hip hop artists,
Yeah.
etc. And they just have like massive parties with them. So then they asked me to open for those, and from then on, kind of went to DJing, opening for them at like gigs, at like at emos, etc.
That's
So
cool. So you've done gigs.
yeah. Well, not anymore. I think the last one was like the first year of med school. I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. This is way too much
Yeah.
to deal with med school and this at the same time. So
Oh
gave it
man,
up.
I never thought I would talk to a doctor and we can talk about gigs. Like, hey, yeah, that's the thing I would always talk about Rorik whenever I was working with him. I was like, hey, I got a gig on so and so day. And he's like, ah, how many gigs you got? I'm like, I got a couple. So I know plastic surgery is a full-time gig. So so the what made you decide, because some can get caught up, as you know, that nightlife, the limelight, all that stuff. How did you not get caught up and be like, you know what, I'm gonna be a good doctor instead. I'm gonna go make some people's bodies super cool.
uh, well, I've always wanted to be, like I told you, from a younger age, I wanted to be a doctor of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Initially when I was thinking like I really was drawn into surgery, and I thought maybe cardiac surgery just because I like learning about the heart anatomy, etc. And then when I started getting to know it a little bit more in terms of like lifestyle, what the surgeries entail, I was like, you know what, I
They're
don't know if I
opposite spectrums.
really for me. And at the same time, around the same time, have you seen the show Nip Tuck?
Oh, all day, yeah. That's how I got
That was,
into like
I was in like high school at the time, seeing the show, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is crazy. Like, I can't believe they're even doing these surgeries. Like, they're doing like crazy reconstructive surgeries, even like some of the cosmetic surgeries. Like, I didn't even know these things are even possible. Are these things even real? So like, I would look them up, and sure enough, they were. A lot of the surgeries that they would do are actually
based on
plastic
cases.
surgery. So that just like completely fascinated me. And like from high school, I was like, what, that's what I want to go into. I want to go into plastic surgery. And somehow I made it work. And it really, like, for me, my biggest thing is I wanted to do medical trips, and that's something I did in college. I did a medical trip to South America, to different country in South America every year in college and med school. So I really wanted to continue that, and plastic surgery was a perfect way to do that, because you can do those surgeries, reconstructive surgeries like cleft lips, cleft palates abroad, try to help as many people as you can. And yeah, so that's what we're doing now.
Okay. So now I got a couple more questions for you. I'm gonna ask you one question that I asked Brendan, because I feel like this is a good one. Where do you see yourself in your practice in 5 years? Or what do you hope to accomplish within 5 years?
To be honest with you, I mean, I haven't really thought that far ahead, but I like where I'm at. I like the position that I'm at. I like the amount of work responsibilities that I have. So if I can stay here at this level in terms of that, I'd be super happy with that.
Okay, so
and of course, in terms of surgeries and what I want to do, I want to just try to keep taking my results to next level, next level, next level. But that's pretty much it. Honestly, I don't really. I'm a pretty chill guy. I don't really have like massive ambitions to like rule the world or anything.
Well, I think you already conquered those. Now you get to like lax a little bit, kind of.
Yeah. I'm not the type of person to always like.
Well, let me ask you this: for your next company party, would you ever DJ it?
I get asked all the time. Anytime someone finds out, they're like, "Oh, well, let's have a party DJ." I'm like, "No."
Like,
I haven't picked up so long, but now I have the time to it. So I'm starting to get into like trying to work on my hobbies a little bit, and creating a better work-life balance, taking my mind off of just surgery all day.
Well, and you know what? I'm glad you're saying that, because I was just talking about that. And so how do you find your balance? Describe your balance, because it's a lot to just go from like to like.
Right. I think the first part of it is kind of like setting boundaries, and in your own life too, like learning to say no to things. Like, you don't have to say yes to everything. You don't have to operate all day. You don't have to operate and see patients all day. You can, I take one afternoon a week where I just have it as an admin day where I get to catch up on work. Like typically
like gets you reset for the week.
Yeah, it gets you reset for the week. It gets you prepared for the week ahead. You get everything done during that weekday, so it doesn't carry over to the weekend. I still do some work on the weekends, but it wouldn't be like sitting at home on the desk doing work all day, all that stuff. So I get some time to myself to be able to work out, to be able to just enjoy some time outside and enjoy time with my family, and just relax and work on like hobbies like music or art, etc.
So music wise, we're still spinning, we're doing beats. What are we doing?
Yeah, so I've decided, like I said, I DJed for so long, and kind of dabbled in like the music software to be able to try to produce some stuff, but I've never really like learned music theory from the beginning. So right now I'm like focusing on just kind of starting from the very, very beginning, giving myself adequate time to learn music theory and starting to produce music just really for fun, not really for like
no, like I said, no, but that's to me. I always find I'm actually I just so having a Kai my meeting, and I'm learning
this one.
Well, no, that's a really nice one. I got like its baby brother. And so I downloaded and I have Ableton Live. So I'm starting
Oh, no.
to learn Ableton because I
That's
want to
awesome.
make my own production for my shows.
What
And
kind of
having,
music?
honestly, I don't know yet. Probably I want to get beats down, but then I want to start learning how to like, I guess, compose better for like podcasts, like that, because that way I can take this song that's composed with like beats and like every element, and then just have like a singer get on it that I know, and then have just a pure soundtrack that I can have, and I'm not worried about people saying, "Hey, this is so and so's music." I want all original stuff on my show,
Yeah,
so
that's
that's really
awesome.
where it's coming from.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do
But
you have like a music background, or are you kind of just learning it as you?
honestly, man, I'm just a curious guy, and everything I've ever dove in on has ended up paying off. Like I'm a
Yeah.
fast learner when it comes to things. And funny enough, my niece, she's like 7. She is a little prodigy apparently, and it's all the art stuff comes through my family, and I'm the one that really accentuates it most. But I've never given myself the time to. So it's one of those. Let's see, do I have it?
Mhm.
So it's one of those as well. It's kind of like a little like, let me see.
Yeah, I think it's, I think once if you have kind of like that creative
Wait, time
mind,
out. I'm gonna show you what I have. All
yeah, that's badass. Let's see.
right.
Oh, you got a
Yeah.
MIDI keyboard. Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
for me, this is what when I saw this and I asked like what it can all do, I was like,
yeah.
okay, this is a good like starter. See like what's up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And
then
the nice thing about that is it's travel size, so you can literally just take it
yes.
wherever you go. So if you're like on a plane or
Hmm.
something, you can just hook it up to your laptop, kind of play around with it. Because honestly, like now everything is software based. So every
Yes.
single synthesizer, every single
It's
uh, you
been
know,
basically put in a little
plugin,
chip.
it's all plugins now. It's all plugins. So, at the end of the day, that's all really you need is your laptop and that really just to make it a little bit
Because
easier.
this is another thing, like, so through editing, I've been playing with like my editing with the sound quality as far as like the songs that I choose, and everyone seems to tell me like, dude, the music that you put on your videos, I really like your selections, and I feel
Yeah.
like I have an ear for like what's good, what's bad.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I'm
exactly.
hoping to explore more of like, I guess, the ear versus the visual side,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. The create. I mean, it all relates, like I said, to the creative side. Like you're a very creative person, obviously, from your artwork. That's going to translate really into anything in life. So that's really something that you can be. And that's why, for me, I told myself I'm just going to learn it from scratch, from like the very beginning.
Hmm.
Give myself time to learn music theory and understand it, and then I can start kind of
Because
dabbling
then you
and
can create
making.
your own pathways.
Right, exactly. You understand it to another level.
Because now, like, okay, I know how this works. Now let me put what I can do with this world in.
Right.
And so,
Exactly.
okay, so given that this is the positive vibe shows only, so this whole show is based about positive vibes. And the one thing I can say about this gentleman is that same as Brendan, never seen him upset, always has a smile on his face. And so, I always tell people, because we're about to close out, I usually hit the 30-minute mark. We kind of went on the 40, but it's all good.
Yeah.
First, where can people find you?
So, you can definitely find me on Instagram at Dr. Chamata, Dr. Chamata, all one word. That's where I post my results and just kind of lifestyle, day to day kind of things.
And so basically anyone can find you and hit you up, and I'll put the link for your site, and then maybe we can drop a little bit of before and afters, and
Oh yeah,
so
for
of like
sure.
stuff that you have on social media that's already public, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Still want to get monetized on this video. And so my question to you, well, my question is more like, what would your one standoff message be to someone that wants to get into your world, and just anyone that wants to have a dream and pursue a dream?
And I think like ultimately, like pursue something that you're like actually passionate about. Like don't do it for whatever reason because your parents told you to, or because it makes you money or whatever it is, because at the end of the day, that road is going to be extremely tough. There's going to be a lot of bumps, a lot of hurdles to go through. And if you don't have that passion, you're just going to be miserable. And there's no reason in life to spend half of your life being absolutely miserable at what especially at something that you're going to be literally half your day spending time on.
And I think that's beautiful, man, because I remember I was having it was my second podcast. I was talking to this art gallery person that was dropped out of school to be a teacher, right? And she's like, I don't really want to be a teacher, but my mom said that's good. And then it's like, well, who's going to be, she's eventually going to pass away, and who's stuck living that life?
Right. Exactly.
And it's not to throw any shade. It's like, no, it's the reality. It's like, we only get one life. So why aren't you living the one you want?
Yeah, exactly. There's no, why would you spend it miserably? It doesn't make sense.
Because sometimes society builds a mental wall that we don't know about, and it tells you should be like, kind of how I was asking, like telling, like, generationally, society would say you shouldn't be here. Same thing with me when I went to art school, being a first, like I went to the number 3 art school in the nation, and it was like I'm hanging out with all these trust fund kids, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of close to the movies I've seen growing up, but it was so true that it's like we put these walls on ourselves, but it's also influenced by what we see and what society says, television at the time, now social media. Social media, it's all about comparison, right? Like who's doing better. It's a highlight reel of someone's life, and it's like, dang, dude, if I was in high school now, I feel for them, because it's a lot to handle now. Everyone's being compared to what isn't really reality.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's 100% true. And yeah, like you said, I mean, you build your own like roadblocks, and at the end of the day, like you're the creator of your world, and you can make it whatever you want it to be. So why not make it fucking amazing and as good as you can possibly make it?
And that, guys, that being said, I think that's a wrap. So thank you so much, Mr. Dr. Chamata. And I'm gonna put the link down below for all his info needs. Once I drop this, it will be available on Spotify and on YouTube. So we have audio and video platforms. So do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't actually, I do. I just don't have anything on it. I haven't started it yet. So
there's zero content
to work at. I don't even know what the actual link is.
Well, and links to, do you have TikTok, all that stuff? I can drop them down.
Not really. Not really. I do. I just never use it. Instagram is really my main kind of source of social media. I try to limit it so I'm not like spending too much time on that stuff anyways.
You know what? It's good, because I think the one last thing we need is another Dr. Miami.
Don't worry, I won't be dancing in my videos.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, what really are they doing the OR? Why is the anesthesiologist fucking hip bumping him?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you once again. If you haven't, follow me on Spotify, add me. And with that being said, guys, I'm out.
PVO. Positive vibes. This is the PVO show.